I'm just gonna take things as they come. I think that's the best way to put it. And I don't think anything never, you never say never. And at the same time, I know that I feel very good about my decision. So I don't know how it feels 6 months from now. It may change. It most likely won't. But, I try to make the best possible decision I can in the moment, which I did this last week. And again, I think it's not looking to, reverse course. I'm definitely not looking to do that. But in the same time, I think you have to be realistic that you never know what challenges there are going to be in life. And again, I love playing. I'm looking forward to doing things other than playing. That's as honest as I can be with you there, Jim.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we all thinking if he came back, the Niners would be in play. But he doesn't have 6 months to make a decision to come back for the Niners, right? Because if they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, they're going to use that money to improve their team and build it around Trey Lance. And they wouldn't have the cash because he's not a free agent. He would have to do a double whammy, tell Tampa, I'm coming back and I want to play in San Francisco. And it would be complicated. And it wouldn't be on the table if the Niners spend all the money. Just period, point blank. Like that'd just be a fact, right? If they have they use all the available cap space beside what they're going to use to sign their draft picks, there's no just we can trade for his $20 million contract, right?
No, I mean there'd be some massive restructure going on, right? Just to give him a chance. But there's only so he can't come back and play. It's not like he can just play for $1 million, right? The contract is the contract.
Yeah. So I think it's very complicated.
Could he force the Bucs to cut him? No, because they would want compensation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
I do think the Bucs would have to. I think I've said this before. I think if you're the Bucs, you would have to participate. Like Tom gave you 2 years. You're not holding Tom Brady hostage. You'll trade him and get whatever you get from the Niners for him.
But they're gonna move on here in the next month, right? They're gonna trade for a quarterback or draft a quarterback, or you would think they're gonna try to win.
Yeah, I mean, drafting a quarterback doesn't stop them.
They just did. Yeah,
drafting Matt Corral doesn't prevent them from bringing Tom Brady back.
But if they were to trade for let's just Jason Light, Jimmy Garoppolo, we've talked about he's not a good fit there. But I'm just saying I don't know who exactly the player would be, but if they have a guy on the roster. This is where, when you come back from retirement, it was why people gave Rodgers a lot of shit. Are you really just trying to fuck with them, or are you actually mean you want to get traded? Who does this? You do this, and this year he got to let him know before free agent. Shit, Aaron, you've been in the league for 17 years, and
yeah,
Tom knows that too.
Yeah, I think that. You and I both watched the Montana doc on Peacock, which was fantastic. And Brady's all over that thing. I did not know. I've forgotten. I didn't know. We all had heard the story that Brady was at the catch game. I didn't know Brady was at Montana's last game because he wanted to go see Joe one last time. I mean, the Niners on Monday Night Football, right? The Niners meant a lot to Tom. And if Tom wanted to come back, I don't think the Niners would say no again. Partly because we saw this year, I think they like Trey Lance, but they're open to a better quarterback being on the field before Trey Lance is ready to play. I mean, they did it all year long with Jimmy, right? So I don't think they look at it and go, nope, we just did it with Jimmy. Trey was the backup. Now Trey's really ready. They'd go, what the hell? Trey can sit another year and sit behind Tom Brady. I mean, that's what they would say. That's what I would tell them to do. Yes, Trey can wait another year. That's what I would say. And you might have to trade another first or whatever you got to do. But
would you trade pick 61 for a year of Tom Brady?
Yes. Would you?
Yes. Based off of what Tom Brady last season? I mean, the Niners are in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. They might have won the division with Tom Brady, right? I mean, just do the math. I mean, we saw Tom Brady on the Bucs dominate. A lot of people argued that he had a legitimate argument for the MVP based statistically against Aaron Rodgers. And then if you really dove into Aaron Rodgers, you're like, well, if you siphon out the fucking 6 divisional games, who he destroys. Someone posted his divisional stats these last 2 years, the last 12 games, it's like 38 touchdowns, 3 picks against Minnesota, Chicago, and the Lions. Now, Tom gets to beat up on some bad people too, and the Saints, whose defense is awesome, has given him some trouble. But regardless, like obviously the Niners would do anything for either one of those guys to be their quarterback because they'd be awesome. They've had an average quarterback who brings some intangible value, and they went to the NFC Championship game. So yeah, you would trade pick 61. You know why? Because like you're going up against the Rams, who are starting to operate like the Yankees, and it's working. So you couldn't bypass that. Like you bypassed it the first time, you were wrong. You can't bypass it the second time. Now you could say pick 61 for 1 year of Tom. Like, yeah, who gives a fuck? It's just part of doing business.
$9 million. B-Zinc on the stream. $9 million is his cap hit this year. Brady's cap hit in 2022, if he's active, is $9 million. His dead cap is $32 million.
I do know dead cap gets, you got to like, every guy's different, but usually gets like cut in half almost when you get traded.
But yeah, but I mean, that wouldn't apply to the number that matters to the Niners is the 9.
Yeah, I'm just saying on the Bucs, like that number actually it's not as bad as the 32 because you say 32 is a lot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You're saying like Tannehill's not $50 million to the Titans if they trade him.
Yeah, it's like 28 or something.
HR says Brady has like 3 sisters. Says he's one of the worst athletes. Apparently, they're awesome volleyball players. Well, one of them, Maureen, was I think. Did she win I don't know if she won a national championship, but she was a great softball player at Fresno State. As the former voice of Fresno State softball, and I wasn't there when she was there, but I always heard the stories.
Didn't you have another one another niece that played at UCLA?
Yeah, niece does it. Yeah, it's UCLA. She one of his sister's daughters. I remember seeing her. She was at the Bucs game the other day. Well, let's add this to the dynamic here, John. Scott Zolak of is it 98.5 Sports Hub?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Zolak and Bertrand said, what's today? The 8th? Said this morning, as it relates to the Niners, I think that's what Brady's focused on. He's been focused on it for 2 years. They've got to deal Jimmy, and he knows that Lance isn't ready, and he knows that the team is built to win right now. That's attractive to him.
How many years has Zolak spent with Tom?
I mean,
20, because he's been the voice of the Patriots. And Zolak's got, for people that don't quite know Zolak, I'd call him like the Tim Ryan quarterback version, but even less muzzled. I mean, can do whatever the fuck he wants. Kind of just a made guy. Boston's a different animal than out here. I think he knows. I would take Tom Brady in a heartbeat. I wouldn't miss an OTA practice. I mean, as just a fan of
greatness.
History. I mean, it would just, I'd be able to tell people the rest of my life. I've seen Tom Brady play live one time, and it was awesome. I mean, he dominated. Now, it's, even when you watch him live, he's not, it's more that you're just watching Tom Brady, right?
Now, here's the part of this, John, that's a little weird, right? As James says, James on the stream, why would he retire if he wanted to go to the Niners?
Allows him to contact people. He can retire, sit down with John and Kyle, and just talk it all out, and they don't have to break any rules.
Yeah, is that worth retiring for? Like, you can just back channel that thing anyway. You can tell the Bucs, like, guys, I'm done.
What if it's just as simple as, guy, she's in your ass to retire?
Yeah, I think he retired because that's what he's going to try. He's going to try and retire. But he's also going, like, almost like he told Giselle, I'll give it 3 months, but if I want to come back for one more year on the Niners, I might choose to do that.
The Niners are going to have to know, though, guy.
I understand.
I don't think it's possible for him to come back in August. The other thing is the offense. Could he just show up in August and then feel comfortable? He'd be the one guy you'd have to do it for, but that would make Kyle a little uneasy, right? Or you just let Trey keep getting the reps and then let him come back and be the starter?
It's pretty tough, right? Because one way or the other, like, what did the Bucs do? They did what Tom wanted. That's not exactly how Kyle would run it, right? There would have to be, now Kyle would do what Tom likes, obviously, but it would take some work, take some effort. Like, say what you want about Jimmy, like, he'd been working with these guys for years. Him and Debo and Kittle and Ayuk had been together on some level multiple years.
If you're a season ticket holder, Can you imagine how much you could flip some of these tickets for during the season?
Wow. I mean, how many primetime? What's the limit? 6 primetime games, or has that changed since they went to 17?
I thought it's 5, but wouldn't they already be Jimmy, Trey, Tom, whoever? They're already a max, wouldn't you say, going into next year?
They're good for a couple Sunday nights, a Monday night, obviously a Thursday. There's 4, so
yeah.
Right.
If Tom wants in, if Tom wants in, he will be the 49ers quarterback. It's just on him. Because the one thing, and listen, I think PR. I said this about the Texans and Lovie Smith. I think it's so overrated, like negatively or positively. But you couldn't turn down Tom Brady a second time. That wouldn't be allowed.
No, the one thing that would save you is Tom might only come back for you, so he wouldn't go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl, right? Like if
I
the
know.
Niners
I'm just
said
saying
no.
if it came out that they said no.
I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that one's worse because he wouldn't win a Super Bowl in Tampa.
I don't think the last time was crazy. It got crazier as time went on and you look back. But at the time, I think most people were in agreement. Like, just stick with Jimmy. He just got to the Super Bowl. Clearly pivoted quickly from that line of thinking. But at the time, he had the fan base, which was clearly massive, on his side. This time, it'd be a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, we'll just wait another year for Trey. Fucking let's roll.
Yeah, and there's worse things Trey could wait through.
Now, it could also be as simple as, would you have to give up pick 61? Like, could you just give him like a 3, make everyone happy, and just move on? They got to get rid of him no matter what?
I mean, Tom could say, look, guys, I'm only coming back for that team. So he could tell the Niners, don't budge. The same way the Pacers said, we're not budging on Halliburton.
Was that the story?
Yeah, the story was the Kings were trying to trade them Mitchell and Bagley last week. And the Pacers were like, no. We want Halliburton. So, Zolak, baby.
If Tom comes, I don't want Russ to leave.
I don't want Rodgers really to leave either.
Well, but if he goes to the Broncos, you'd see that game.
That's true. Be a good NFC championship game, though. Can you imagine? Russ? Everyone's debating, right? Where'd that come from? Russ is Ryan Clark said Russ is not an all-time great.
On him. Yeah.
I do think Russ, he was on the precipice, right? He won a Super Bowl year 2, was about to win another one year. Was that year 3? Was that the next year? Were they going to go back-to-back against the Patriots?
Yeah.
I mean, what it could have been, I think Russ is just great. But what it could have been, man.
I think he can be 2 things at the same time. I think he can be slightly overrated and an all-time great.
Yeah.
Right? Like someone asked me the other day in a DM, like, you always act like Rodgers and Russell Wilson, there's a big gap. When you look at the numbers, they're actually closer than you realize. It's like, yeah, just fucking watch the games. Like, Aaron Rodgers is dramatically better than Russell Wilson. But that's also like saying Steph Curry is dramatically better than just some other really good point guard. Like, let's just use like Damian Lillard or something. That doesn't mean Damian Lillard's not a great player. You're just Aaron Rodgers. I think most football people would say just in a vacuum on given games is like a top 6 or 7 player all time, right?
And it feels like Russ is better than Dame.
Yeah, I'm just trying to use that. That
no.
That's
a good point. That's a good point.
But it's like you can say that Russ is like a top 5 quarterback, but like the top 2 or 3 guys, like I wouldn't hesitate taking like Mahomes, Tom, Aaron over him. But we have a different opinion when you just watch so much NFC West football. It's like the fucking guy can play.
Yeah,
I think Ryan Clark was just. I don't know if out of pocket is the right word that the kids would use, but he was just wrong, you know. But because he just went too extreme. You could be like, he's a little overrated. I talked to defensive coordinators in the league that I played for that think, he's not as good as the top guys. That's true. But to act like he made him sound like he was like just some average guy. It's like, nah, bro.
I'll be honest. I didn't click the video. I just saw the quote. My question is, how many quarterbacks are all-time greats? Like, I think we talk about the top 10 all the time. Russ is not top 10, right?
Oh,
but
like
how many quarterbacks
history?
are all? Yeah, just like how many quarterbacks are all-time greats? Is Terry Bradshaw an all-time great?
It's hard for me to say. I didn't really witness.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, but I would say generally he's considered yes, right? One of the great won 4 Super Bowls. Right? Doesn't mean he's not top 15, probably, if we off the top of my head.
I think one thing Ryan Clark threw in there, which I agree with, I think he's like, he ain't Ben Roethlisberger. It's like, yeah, I would rather have peak Ben Roethlisberger than peak Russell Wilson. But Ben Roethlisberger is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer with Brady Unless Brady
Russ
comes back.
probably will be too, right?
First ballot?
I think so.
He'll be in the mix. I mean, he's a Hall of
Depends
Famer.
on his class, but I think he will be.
He also, like, Russ ain't done.
He's one of the
right?
most remarkable quarterbacks I've ever watched
Yeah, he's awesome.
in my life.
He can have some flaws, but wouldn't you say most great players have some flaws, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson can be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, Russ he plays quarterback too. He's just one of the biggest stars in the league consistently. I think he's going to have, I've been saying that I'm expecting a gut check. Did you motherfuckers forgot about me? Bounce back season for Russ. I don't know if his team is good enough to like make it last 17 games. You know what I mean?
I'm back, bitches.
But I think he might, like, me and the Giants are winning 9 games when everybody said we couldn't.